This is a Frosts Mora 3-inch wood carving knife from Sweden, and it is not exactly like the first knife that I ever had. This is quite literally the first knife that I ever had. As far as I can piece together, I was entrusted with this around age 7. At first, I was not allowed to keep it in my possession. I was only able to use it under direct, careful supervision while I was still being trained to use knives responsibly, but eventually I was allowed to keep it, and I used it a lot in my childhood. This is the very one. I've kept it to this day. It went through a lot of badness. If you look at that blade, it's not in particularly good shape, just because I tried to maintain it as a kid, and I used tools as I gained access to other tools over the first few years that I owned this. I used tools that were not correct for maintaining blades, trying to keep the thing sharp, being a little bit impatient, trying to resharpen it and such. So I actually have a new edge on it. I don't remember if I put that second edge on it, or if it was actually put on there for me at first and then I further messed it up. But this is a carbon steel blade, so it does get corroded over time, and a handful of times I put a wire brush to it, like a powered wire brush to it. And this has laminated steel, so it has a nice hard center but a very soft outside, so that's why it has so much damage on the exterior surface of the blade, because using the powered wire brushes that I did to try to get the tarnish off of it after not oiling it properly, not maintaining it the way that it should have been, that just cut into the metal a little bit, scratched it up, but it still has that nice sharp center. I have just recently, a few weeks ago, gone back and put a very rough edge on it, reprofiled it a little bit. Needs some more work, but it's still a perfectly viable knife to this day. I actually did carve with this quite a bit through my younger years. I decided at one point that I didn't like the varnished finish on it, and I started just shaving off some of the finish, probably using one of my X-Acto knives at that time. And it had this really nice, I don't know what is that birch wood, the handle, or is it ash? I'm not sure. It's not very heavy. I want to say it's ash, but had a very beautiful bright color when I first started taking it off, and then I got bored of doing that. I actually was a little bit careful with it, but now that has changed in color over time. So this thing has been through some stuff, but I'm happy to say that it has never seriously cut me. I was trained decently well and have always treated tools with a good amount of respect in terms of using them, even if my maintenance wasn't that good. And most recently, for the sake of nostalgia and kind of connecting things to the present, I have gotten the current version of this, because Morakniv exists to this day. I think it's pretty much a continuation of the original lineage of production of those. Mora exists, and they make this thing. Comes with the sheath. There it is, the Morakniv 106. Essentially the exact same thing. This one has an oiled handle. I forgot to check back at what type of wood they're using here for the handle, but it's oiled rather than being varnished like this one was here. And there you can see the shape that the blade should have, with just a single grind on it there. And there you can also, if you look carefully, you should be able to pretty easily actually see the two types of metal. So you see that nice little straight line. It's nicely lined up. We've got the really hard stuff in the center, and then the softer stuff to the outside of that. It's pretty beautifully done. this thing was sharpened on a machine. I mean, you can see the serrations in there, but whatever machine they used does a really, really good job, because this has not been touched up. This is straight from the factory. You see, it is oiled, and I will be keeping this one oiled, but it is extremely sharp. I love that. And there you go. My very first knife, and the new version of the same. How basically it ought to look. Yeah, just wanted to share that. And yeah, I'm happy that I actually held on to this thing, because like I said, it's still a very, very good knife, a very usable knife. I've had it in one of my home defense positions over the course of a number of years through my adult life. It has since been taken out of commission for that purpose, but it's still in pretty good shape beneath the little bit of exterior kind of mostly cosmetic abuse that it's been through. I'll get this edge worked up or worked down a little bit more, and I guess I'll probably be keeping that for the rest of my life.